ലൈവ് ആയ ചേച്ചി?
ലൈവ് ഞാൻ ലിങ്ക് അയക്കാം.
ഓക്കെ, നോക്കട്ടെ.
ഇത് റെക്കോർഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ടോ?
Yes.
No. Once the event starts, in case somebody misses it, they can have the recording.
Yeah.
Mahima, do you have Dr. Mala's number?
No, ma'am.
മഹിമ ഇപ്പൊ ഗ്രൂപ്പിൽ വന്ന ലിങ്ക് അല്ലേ ഫോർവേഡ് ചെയ്യണ്ടേ?
യൂട്യൂബ് സാർ ഒന്ന് ജോയിൻ ചെയ്തിട്ട് ഒന്ന് ടെസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യണം എങ്ങനെ ക്ലിയർ ആണോ കുഴപ്പമില്ലാന്ന്.
ചേച്ചി സംഭവം ഓക്കെ അല്ലേ? ഐ തിങ്ക് എനിക്കിവിടെ അത് പ്ലേ ആയി.
നമ്മള് സംസാരിച്ചെല്ലാം അതിനകത്ത് കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ട്, അപ്പൊ ക്ലിയർ ആണല്ലോ?
അതെ.
ഡബിൾ ആയിട്ടൊന്നും കേൾക്കുന്നില്ലല്ലോ.
So are we ready to circulate that?
Sorry sir,
are we ready to circulate the link YouTube?
Yeah, we can.
അപ്പം ഇനി നമ്മൾ സംസാരിക്കുന്ന എല്ലാം അതിനകത്ത് കേൾക്കുമായിരിക്കും. അപ്പം അതാണ് ഞാൻ ചോദിച്ചത്.
ബാക്ക്ഗ്രൗണ്ട് മ്യൂസിക് ലൂപ്പിലിടായിരുന്നു അനന്തു.
അനന്തു അത് ലൂപ്പിലിട്ടാ നന്നായിരിക്കും.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. I just come online.
Hear and see you also. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. I'm going ahead with the arrangements. I think you must be busy with the arrangements, no?
Just doing some last minute test checks.
Okay.
That's all. Everything set. Thank you.
Should I come back later or?
You can stay on, sir, or you can come back after 15-20 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Should we send the link to Swamiji even though he said he won't?
What
Sir,
will
on
be
the
ready?
phone, I'll ask him.
Yeah.
The YouTube link or the Zoom link?
I don't know. Ask Sensi.
Would you like to speak? Namaskar, Namaskaram. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. We'll wait for a few minutes as some more people are joining online, and then we will get started. Namaskar. Namaskar, Namaskaram. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us for this condolence meeting in honor of Dr. Asoke Banerji, who passed away peacefully on Thursday, July 1st. Start with a prayer.
कुण्ठनवती तेजोमयी नैष्टिकी स्निग्धापाङ्गविलोकिनी भगवती मन्दस्मितश्रीमुखी वात्सल्यामृतवर्षिणी सुमधुरं सङ्कीर्तनालापिनी श्यामाङ्गीं मधुसिक्तसूक्तिम् अमृतानन्दात्मिकामीश्वरी ॐ
This meeting is being recorded.
Dr. Banerji's passion for science and enthusiasm for his work was instrumental in his setting a pace that was difficult for everyone else. Added to that was his determined perseverance and the ability to pursue his goals in the face of all odds, with almost zero tolerance for scientific mediocrity. What was special about Dr. Banerji was his amicable, kind-hearted, generous, and mild-mannered personality. He was indeed the epitome of humility. With a strong aversion all the time with us over the past 15 years at the Amrita School of Biotechnology, Dr. Banerji was a father figure, extremely well respected, committed, and forever dedicated to his pursuit of scientific excellence. His spectacular achievements included the award of the prestigious Raja Ramanna Fellowship of the Department of Atomic Energy. He was the Fellow of the Royal Society of Chemistry, London. He was the Fellow of the National Academy of Sciences. He was the former Vice President of the Indian Society for Bioorganic Chemistry. He was a former Vice President of the Indian Chemical Society, the Western branch. He was a Fellow of the Maharashtra Academy of Sciences. He was on the advisory board of several institutions like the Defense Research and Development Organization, DBT, ICMR, the Center for Medicinal Plant Research, and the Rajiv Gandhi Center for Biotechnology in Trivandrum. He was also an emeritus professor and an emeritus scientist at the Regional Research Laboratory in Trivandrum. Dr. Banerji was always a role model for each one of us and taught us the best approach to balance all aspects of life with perfect equanimity and grace. Above all, he was always grateful to Amma, Mata Amritandamayi Devi, for having provided him the best environment for a happy, successful, and contented life. Let us take a few minutes to view a video and picture gallery that reminds us of Dr. Banerji.
the state of Kerala has got a very rich biodiversity. Biodiversity is an asset, is a national asset. Along with the biodiversity, the Kerala also is known for a very rich traditional knowledge in Ayurveda. Combining these two factors, it becomes an ideal place for doing research for discovery of drugs.
Happy Diwali. Celebrity conducting our celebration in the mess hall from 3 to 7. Please be present there.
3 to 7 in the hall.
Yes.
Very good. Very nice. It's a nice, beautiful. I was just looking to greetings and other things.
So please take sir.
Thank you very much. A very nice way. I like something original.
Thank you, sir.
Wonderful. There you have it. Not a day in the life, but a life in the day of Dr. Banerji. We have a number of Dr. Banerji's former colleagues from the Baba Atomic Research Center, BARC, here with us today. I'd like to request Dr. G. Ramakrishnan, his former student and colleague, to share his thoughts. Dr. Ramakrishnan, if you can unmute and have your video on also and speak. Thank you.
Very good morning to everybody. At the outset, let me thank Dr. Bipin Nair for organizing this condolence meeting for our departed friend, coach and reputed scientist, and above all, a wonderful human being, Dr. Asoke Banerji, and also give me this opportunity to share some of my thoughts about Dr. Banerji. Today, in fact, coincides with the death anniversary of the saint and philosopher Swami Vivekananda, whom Dr. Banerji respected a lot. And as you could see from the archives that Dr. Bipin Nair shared with us right now, in his office, you could see a huge poster of Swami Vivekananda. It's great to remember all these coincidences today. I was one of the couple of students selected by Mumbai University in 1971 to do PhD under the new scheme between Department of Atomic Energy and Mumbai University. And perhaps I was the very first student to come out as a PhD, degree holder in this collaboration. Though I was officially registered under Dr. M.S. Chadha, I was introduced to Dr. Banerji, who became my immediate supervisor and practical guide. Dr. Gajanan Chintalwar, who is in this meeting today, was the first person to work under Dr. Banerji, and I became the second person. I was so happy to be under Dr. Banerji, as everyone said that I was lucky to join Dr. Banerji, as he was already respected as one of the best scientists in natural products chemistry, and he was one of the favorite students of late Dr. T.R. Seshadri I have seen in the picture on Delhi University. With my association with Dr. Banerji, I could finish my practical work and publish 2 papers in tetrahedral letters and phytochemistry within 2.5 years, thus paving for an early PhD degree. I learned every bit of my natural products research from Dr. Banerji, which made me comfortable even when I was a postdoc in the United States. Is there any disturbance? I hope you are able to hear me. Are you able to hear me, Dr. Bipin?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Yes, yes.
Besides natural product chemistry,
Sir, you are just muted.
Sir, you are muted. Now you are not audible.
So he initiated a lot of interdisciplinary work in the chemistry division, bioagriculture division, biotechnology division, etc. within BIRC. Thus, we got a good chance to be a part of this interdisciplinary work within BIRC. It's also commendable how he interacted with his seniors and his juniors with respect. He addressed Dr. Chintalwar as Chintalwar Saheb, or just as Saheb at times. I remembered he used to address the lab assistant or tradesman in our laboratory, Mr. Gowde, as Gowde Sahab. He was always a gentleman scientist and focused on his work all the time. He was living in the BIRC colony. He was in the lab for extended hours during the day, every weekday, and he was even there available on the weekends. So whenever I used to be there on the weekends, he used to be always there to guide me. He was a true representation of work is worship. I cannot but share how nervous I was when he received a sabbatical assignment with the Dr. D.H.R. Barton at the Imperial College, London, only because of my selfishness, because I am in the middle of my PhD research. I thought that my PhD work will suffer badly and will be delayed. But I was amazed how Dr. Banerji interacted with me with the long letters practically every week. And we did not, as we did not have any fax machines or emails at that time. He coached me so nicely from the remote part of, from Imperial College, that I could get my thesis ready to present to him when he returned from Imperial College. Though I was in BRC only for 3.5 years, the work ethics and personality development I learned under Dr. Banerji helped me throughout my professional career. When I came back from the USA, he connected me to ICA Research Center in Mumbai, and I was able to get an easy replacement. At every change of my job, I changed many jobs in different positions, different parts of the world. I used to be in touch with the Dr. Banerji to seek his blessings. And he always blessed me very profusely, very generously. A few years back, I visited Dr. Banerji at Amrutapuri, Kollam, and he was very pleased to show me around the biotechnology department. Last year, under the Chromatography Society of India, I was conducting quite a few webinars, and he used to attend some of them and discuss with me some of the topics after the webinar in detail. Then I requested him to give a webinar to guide the students and researchers to motivate them how to do research on natural products, because people like him are very few in this world who has conquered the natural products chemistry, synthetic chemistry, the biosynthesis, etc., the various nuances of chemistry. He immediately agreed. He agreed to do a webinar early this year. And he said, and he sent me the title, On Way to Natural Product Research. I got the email. I'll be sending to Dr. Bipin Nair later. And with 2 pages of the steps involved, it is very unfortunate today that he's not amongst us now, and we cannot take advantage of his immense knowledge anymore directly. It's very difficult to think about him. A good 50 years of my best interaction with possibly the most respectful and helpful person on this planet. I will miss him forever and pray to God to give me strength to withstand this. And would like to share with all of you the combined grief we are in. I wish Dr. Banerji's soul paraloga prapti. That's all I can say. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity. It's very difficult, it's very emotional today. I wish he was amongst with us. We had no indication of this, that this will happen. I thought he will be always forever with us. Sorry about that for my emotional outburst. But all these years we are very, very close, so we could not meet every year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ramakrishnan, for sharing those emotions. I'd like to request Dr. KB Simons, another one of Dr. Banerji's associates from BARC.
Good morning, and I must thank
Dr.
Professor Vipin
Simons.
Nair and Dr. Ramakrishnan. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Good morning, and at the outset, I must be thankful to Professor Vipin Nair and Dr. Ramakrishnan to involve me in this condolence meeting, especially to pay tribute to our former associate and, in a way, a mentor for me, who passed away very recently. So at the outset, my heartfelt condolences go to the next of kin, and I pray to God that his soul rests in peace. I first met Dr. Banerji when I had joined BRC training school. He used to teach us organic chemistry during that period. And that was one of my most favorite subjects, right from my college days. So obviously we developed a kind of a bond, and I did very well in this subject. And that thing continued because he was also on the first floor of Border Labs, and my lab was also on the first floor of Border Labs. And though I was so junior, he would often, stop by and ask how you are doing, what are you doing, and so on. And at that time, we were really impressed by the fact that having worked with such great people, having come from most famous school of natural product chemistry, that is Professor Sheshadri's, Dr. Banerji was so unassuming, so simple, and so easily approachable that we couldn't believe it. At that time, he was working on natural products from garlic, and his paper had appeared in Science on the mosquitocidal activities of garlic oil. He went on from strength to strength as far as natural product chemistry is concerned, and then he has tremendous reputation. He had tremendous reputation all over the country. Our interactions got revived again when we started interacting with his colleagues from Bioorganic Division, Dr. Badheka to start with, later on Dr. Sipai Malani and Chintalwar. And then, most importantly, we started working on Tinospora cordifolia. And then we did this activity-based verification of the immunomodulator, and we published some 3 or 4 papers with him. And of course, the work was continued by my associate and students. 4 of my students got PhD working on Tinospora cordifolia. So during that time, we had very, very positive interactions, and it was stimulating to talk to him, to learn his ideas and all that. And I'm very proud to say that a patent on that preparation of that immunomodulator, which is there in his biodata, you can see, we were all associated with that work. It was indeed real great thing to work with him on that kind of a project. When he became head by organic division, his room was next to ours. So very often we would run into each other and he would ask simplest of simple things without any hesitation. And that was the kind of interaction that was. That time I came to know that he was also a spiritual minded person, that he had some kind of reverence towards Matamritanandamayi, and after his retirement, he obviously shifted there. So whenever I went to Kerala, our lab was there, low level radiation research laboratory in Kollam. And many times I thought I would go and meet him, but unfortunately that did not happen, though I went to the ashram a couple of times, but at that time he wasn't there, so we didn't run into each other. I think it was a few years ago he came to Bark, and that was the time I last met him. It was again amazing to see how involved he was in his work on bioprospecting, on bioactivities of various natural products, bioorganic synthesis, and so on. I have rarely seen this kind of a dedication, involvement, and commitment in a scientist. And I must admit, in that respect, Dr. Banerji stood very, very tall. We shall really be missing him. I know he was a very kind-hearted person, and one instance I want to tell was that he had an old maid servant, and he used to take his own car to bring that maid servant home. And there was also a lighter side to Dr. Banerji. I remember when that oil was advertised, made by one Mr. Gopal Krishnan Nair from Kerala, to so that bald people could get hair. He brought me a picture from Times of India News Sun, showing me a photograph of a lady with very long dark hair. And he said, "Look, Sainis, this oil does such a wonderful thing. Why don't you try it?" To be honest, I tried, but it didn't work. But that was a lighter side to his personality. But otherwise, very simple, approachable person, and above everything else, an extremely knowledgeable and respectable person. We shall really be missing him. Rest in peace, Dr. Banerji. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Sains. Dr. Ramakrishnan, do you know if Dr. Badeka is online? We are not able to reach him.
I think so. I saw him. I saw his name when I logged on in the beginning. Dr. Badeka, are you there? Badeka, are you there?
Okay.
Maybe he was there in the beginning. Maybe he lost the connection.
We will try to get him online.
Yeah, I will try to contact him on the phone.
Yeah, we will try to get him back online. Okay, thank you so much. Dr. Banerji, after his days at BRC, moved to the Regional Research Laboratory, Trivandrum, now the National Institute for Interdisciplinary Science and Technology. He was the head of the phytochemistry group there, and I'd like to request Dr. Ajay Ghosh, the current director of NIST, to say a few words. Dr. Ajay Ghosh.
Thank you, Dr. Nair. Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. So, good morning, everybody.
Hello. Can you hear me now? Hello. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Dr. Badeka, yes, we can hear you, but we just went on to Dr. Ajay Ghosh. We'll come back to you just immediately after Ajay Ghosh.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so actually, on July 2nd morning, I got an unexpected call from Dr. Ramakrishnan, who spoke, earlier, and asked me whether you know that Dr. Banerji is no more. So that was the time I heard about the sudden and sad demise of Dr. Banerji, and I immediately contacted Dr. Nair at Amritapuri, and so he told me briefly about the last moment of Dr. Banerji. I know Banerji since he came to NIST, the then Regional Research Laboratory, immediately after his superannuation from BARC. And that was the late 90s and the early 20s, 2000. So he came there as an emeritus scientist of CSIR. And then at that time, I was a young scientist at the then Regional Research Laboratory. And within no time, we became, good friends and started talking about chemistry, natural product chemistry, synthetic chemistry, and also there was no restriction to the topics. He used to talk to me on many things, even philosophy, mythology, history, but mainly on Ayurveda and natural products chemistry. He was a very senior person, but when we, especially me, when started talking to him, he was like one among us as a young colleague, and he had no boundaries or restrictions or any kind of hesitations on continuously talking on a very positive note and encouraging, helping. So I have not seen such a person like him, one of the finest human being I have seen, like the people who have spoke before me also said this. While he was here at NIST, every day he used to go for morning walk, and there was a place, there was a BSNL campus here in close to the institute, which is very close to the place I'm staying. So there was a group of people, local people, and Dr. Banerji used to join them and used to walk every day morning, nearly for an hour. So some of those people who were walking with him are still coming to this BSNL campus for walking, and I also happen to be one among them. So I was mentioning about Dr. Banerji's sudden demise, and those people were really shocked. And then they were telling many good words about Dr. Banerji. So I realized, how wonderful human being he is, Dr. Banerji. When even, ordinary people who are not in the community of scientists are talking and praising Dr. Banerji as a human being. See, that is the quality of a person. Particularly, scientists should be like him, and he is always a role model. And I admire him so much. And I have some personal obligations also, since we became, colleagues and friends, he always used to encourage me to support my research. And I was fortunate to get few recognitions from different places. And Dr. Banerji was one of the very first to always call me in person and congratulate, and then motivate me that, this is again another responsibility for you to perform. So you should continue to perform. I haven't met him for the last almost nearly 2 years, especially since the eruption of the pandemic. So the image I had about, the physical image that I had about Dr. Banerji is a very healthy, sporty image, as he was usually like that. Very, fit and, sporty. And so I have that image of Dr. Banerji. So when I heard about his sudden demise, it was a bit shocking for me because his lively image was, is always, in my memory. So it is unfortunate that he is not with us. And during his time at the NIST, we had a wonderful group of people, including Professor George, Professor Ranganathan, Professor Darshan Ranganathan, and Dr. Vijay Nair, Dr. Suresh Das, many. And all of these people together really made that ambience, highly, scientific and, intellectual. And Dr. Banerji's contribution was immense. And even during that short period of time at NIST, he made so much of contributions, and he motivated many scientists to come to the natural products chemistry and phytochemistry and phytopharmaceutical chemistry. And we are still keeping that legacy at NIST, and we have a very strong group working in the phytochemicals. And Dr. Banerji is one of the instrumental persons. So I take this opportunity in remembering all the contributions Dr. Banerji has given to NIST and also to my colleagues, including myself. And on behalf of my colleagues at CSIR NIST, I take this opportunity remembering his contributions, and I wish that his soul rest in peace. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Shanti. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ajay Ghosh. Always fit.
Hello.
And what we maintained in
Hello.
the School of
Hello.
Being the CEO, and he would be in his office before anybody else in the morning. So I think Dr. Badeka is back online. I'd request Dr. Badeka to now share his thoughts, being a former colleague of Dr. Banerji from BRC. Dr. Badeka.
Hello. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Hello. My contribution, my friendship with Dr. Banerji goes more than half a century old. Perhaps I was the last person to talk to him over the phone at 8:52 on July 1st. I called him, and though his voice was very feeble, but he could recognize me and could answer me. That he told me that he will call me later, but that later never came, and he passed away at 3:30 in the 1st July. So we used to talk very often to each other, and he was a devout, spiritual, and disciple of Mata Sri Amritanand Mayiji, and I have lost a friend, philosopher, and a guide in him. May God and Mataji make his soul rest in peace. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak about him. Okay?
Namaskar. I think Pipin sir lost his connectivity. So let's wait for him to rejoin. Chinju?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll wait for him to rejoin, sir.
Professor Virendra Singh, who is the secretary of the Sibaktan Association of India, has sent a message. Maybe he's having some connectivity problems. So while we wait for Dr. Bipin to join in, maybe I can just read out the message.
Very good.
He says that he expresses his deep condolence to the affected family, colleagues, and students, and those who love this great human being, a visionary, a great scientist, always dedicated to science, a very caring, loving, affectionate person. He says that we both worked together on Sibaktan for a few years, which is true because we all know that Dr. Banji had got quite a few grants on Sibaktan. And Dr. Virendra Singh goes on to say that his demise is a great loss to science, and we will always miss him and remember him. He will forever remain in our hearts. May God bless him and bring peace to the departed soul in heaven. Om Shanti. I think Dr. Bipin is still experiencing some connectivity issues. Dr. M.D. Nair, would you like to share your thoughts?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can.
You can see me also?
Yes, we can, sir.
Okay. About 2 days back when Professor Bipin Nair called me, I was absolutely in total disbelief because my memory of...
You're breaking off, sir, a little bit. So we can't hear you very well.
Banerji and in his cabin, much of the gossip which goes on in the scientific circles all over India. But when you look at the background of Dr. Banerji, he is one of the most versatile chemists that I have seen. The reason is he comes from a group of Professor Seshadri, who was very single-minded in a particular area for almost all his academic life. He worked on oxygen heterocycles, but he never moved away from that. And then from that particular, single-faceted approach to be so versatile actually happened because of his exposure to people like D.H.R. Barton. I knew his postdoc work with D.H.R. Barton, but I never knew that he worked with Chain. Only when I was looking at this morning, the Wikipedia, I found that he worked with Chain. Now, Chain actually is the one who made penicillin a drug. Even though everybody says Fleming is a discoverer of penicillin, penicillin never would have seen the light of the day but for Florey and Chain. And both D.H.R. Barton and Chain got Nobel Prize winners for their respective fields. So that rounded off his chemistry into areas which are outside T.R. Seshadri's area and made him an all-rounder as far as chemistry was concerned. And the chemistry that we did in those days on natural products was very, very different from what we do today. For example, in those days, there's no GCMS, there's no LC. The only thing we had was infrastructure and ultraviolet. And the whole natural product chemistry consists of many parts. Isolation of the active principle, isolation of the compound, characterization, purification of the... And now in all these areas, he had a hand in one way or the other. And I do not know of any other organic chemist who is so multifaceted from the point of view of different disciplines. The natural product head. Now, the additives, he worked on snake venom, scorpion venom, he worked on metalloproteinases, which are actually intermediaries for wound healing. In all these areas, he was a master. And he was very, very ably supported by the director of the institute, Dr. Bipin Nair, and they formed an excellent team. I miss him because whenever I go to Mahabalikara once again, I will be going to Amrapuri minus Dr. Asoke Banerji. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nair, for your kind words. I'd like to invite Dr. Walter, who is a friend and a colleague of Dr. Banerji, to share his thoughts. Dr. Walter, are you there?
Geeta, I think Dr. Walter has expressed his inability to come online from Germany. So I'd now like to request Dr. G.M. Nair from the Kerala Academy of Science in Trivandrum to speak a few words. Dr. G.M. Nair.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Bipin, for giving me this opportunity. Let me at the outset pay my respectful homage to the departed soul, Dr. Asoke Banerji, and deeply mourn his demise and convey my heartfelt condolences to his near and dear ones. When on 1st of July, I saw a Facebook post from Dr. Vishnu Prasad saying that Dr. Banerji is no more. I couldn't believe it because I had interacted with him some time back, and he was very healthy. I couldn't believe it, and I just called Dr. Bipin Nair. Dr. Bipin confirmed that he is no more. He died in the early morning of July 1st. He didn't have much of ailments, but that he was hospitalized for 4 days. Multiple problems, multitude of problems all on a sudden cropped up, and we lost him. I knew Dr. Banerji from 1980s when I was in Baroda, not directly, but through my friend, Dr. Daniel, who is a very leading phytochemist. Dr. Daniel used to tell me how he was mentored and brought into phytochemistry through Dr. Banerji's interventions. And he had a deep concern to phytochemistry, and all the while he has been taking advice from me, not only for his PhD, but also during his research career for almost 45 years. I came back to Kerala in 1988. I did not see Dr. Banerji. I did not know his whereabouts, but in late 90s, I heard that he is in regional research laboratory, now called as National Institute of Interdisciplinary Science and Technology. I had called him, met him several times. And when I moved to TBGRA, again, we had a close contact, because in TBGRA, we have a great phytochemistry division. Dr. George was heading at that time, and then all the help that he needed was given by Dr. Banerji. He established a very good phytochemistry lab through his interventions and help. And he has nurtured many other people to take up the legacy of taking high-end phytochemistry research. I also had interacted with him when I was in Biotechnology Commission for different things, but then my close contact came when I took over as the president of Kerala Academy of Sciences. We have a great program named after Dr. Hisham, a well-known phytochemist, and starting from 2015, we have been organizing an international phytochemistry seminar and an endowment award, Hisham Endowment Award, consistently all throughout the years. He has been a prominent figure, either as a speaker or a co-organizer in many of those programs. And we had a program in 2016 at Malabar Botanic Garden and Research Institute. We amply felicitated him for the services, and he also gave a lecture over there. It was also in 2018, there was a same program at TBGRA. Again, his presence was made effective through his interventions in different process of conduct of the seminar. Last year also we had the Hisham Endowment Award, the International Phytochemistry Seminar. He was also prominent during that. I also met him at Amrutapuri sometime back when I went there for a program. And I've been in touch with him whenever I have some program with natural products, because I knew him as the best in the country to advise me or advise anyone on phytochemistry and natural products. By looking at his CV, you would realize the kind of services he has done to the field: natural product chemistry, natural product development, phytopharmaceutical development, and he holds several patents. Dr. Bipin used to tell me the kind of services he is rendering to Amrita Institute, because since 2006 he has been associated with it, and he is a full devotee of Mata Amrita. His interventions, his contributions in the biotechnology department was amply told to me by Dr. Bipin. And I knew him because through the publications and all, I could make out and how much of service he's doing. And one of the greatest qualities of Dr. Banerji is that he used to keep abreast with the latest developments. He became a biotechnologist when he went to Amrita, became very close to Bipin as well as the other natural product people over there. And he has helped the Department of Biotechnology, Division of Biotechnology, take greater heights in natural products. And I'm sure because Dr. Bipin used to narrate to me, and I also would get to know about the developments through my interventions, through my talk with Dr. Banerji. I'm sure that we have lost a great personality, like many people before me have said, that a great human being, a great mentor, many, approachable person, ready to advise on different intricate programs of phytochemistry, natural product chemistry. And that shows the greatness of a person, that when you are in diverse fields, connecting everything together, converging them to make products for the benefit of the society, taking scientific social responsibility in a specific way, mentoring people in different ways throughout the country, especially in Kerala, in biotechnology division of Amrita School of Amrita Vishwavidyapeetham. And I'm sure that we have lost a great researcher. And we are now, Kerala Academy of Sciences is now organizing the 6th Isham Endowment function, as well as an international phytochemistry seminar. Soon, we thought of inviting him because I'm sure in addition to the international speakers, we wanted to give him a platform, but then we miss him. He will not be there in this meeting, which is coming soon. I take this opportunity to remember him with all due respects for the great services he has done to the society, to the phytochemistry and natural products sector, as well as personally to me. He was a very dear friend of mine, a very respectful person. I wish and pray to God that his noble soul rest in eternal peace. It's a great loss to the Amrita School of Biotechnology, to personal loss to Dr. Bipin, loss to every one of us. May his soul rest in peace. Pranam. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. G.M. Nair. It is indeed a great loss for us, but he would always want the show to go on. I'd like to now request Dr. Dulal Panda, Professor, IIT Bombay, to say a few words. Dr. Panda.
Good morning. I think my association with Dr. Banerji was brief, but very exciting, and I would say more of a short but very sweet interaction. In the beginning, I must convey my heartfelt condolence, and I pray for his soul. To me, with my brief interaction with Dr. Banerji, it appears he's a very simple man, plain living, simple man with really good passion about science. He was definitely a master of, natural products, bioorganic synthesis, and he came to me for collaboration, and we talked about this. And I think what was very interesting for me, his passion for science. He wanted to do something. In a way, he was very senior to me. The year he did finish his PhD, I was born in that year. So obviously, there is a huge difference. But his plain living thing and high thinking that makes teaching so glorious. the teaching profession is so interesting because of this kind of people. The science is so interesting because of this type of people who love science without looking what can be the outcome of it or what will I get from it. And he has no hesitation to reach anywhere. So he was always encouraging to younger colleague. In one of my, actually the single visit that I have had in Amrita, it looks like he was very fond of the younger colleagues, and the younger people had huge respect for him. So that is what I like the most, that is dedication to science, dedication towards teaching and plain living. And to me, these are the thing that to be aspire as a teacher, as a researcher. And that's what when Professor Nair asked me whether I will be willing to join, I think I really wanted to join because of this thing. This is very rare that someone can, combine of all these things. And of course, a lot of people talked about his work, so there's no point of talking about this, but he has done huge amount of work using, synthetic chemistry, fashion for natural products, biosynthesis using isotype labeling, understanding the mechanism, and so on. But everything many people do, but encouraging the young people living for science is the very few people can do. So with this, I think I would pray for his, his soul must have reached the feet of the goddess, and I pray for eternity and peace for his soul. Thank you. Thank you, I am.
Sir, you are muted.
I'd like to now invite Dr. Raja Bishwas from the Amrita Institute of Medical Sciences and the Nanoscience Center to please speak a few words. Dr. Raja Bishwas.
Raja, you are muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah,
yes.
go ahead.
Okay. Okay. I joined in Amrita Institute of Medical Sciences in 2009. And I think in the last 10 years, I have interaction with Banerji sir and Dr. Bipin Nair and Sanjay Pal. Dr. Sanjay Pal introduced me with him. And then slowly our interaction.
We can't hear you, Dr. Raja.
Sorry for the disturbance. Initial interactions was very preliminary interactions to know few name of few chemical compounds which has antimicrobial activities, because I was doing microbiology related work, and later our discussion became so intense that we used to call each other almost every alternative day, which resulted in few collaborative publications with him. And we also got funding from Department of Biotechnology, which we have completed that project recently. So when he was admitted here now, for the last almost 10 days, I was always there with him. And although he was not well, he was very sick, but he was always discussing about compounds and the antiviral compounds, the compounds which may have with potential antiviral activities. He wanted me to test, and repeatedly he was saying that once I will go back to Amritapuri, although lockdown is there, I will try to go to the lab and send you the antimicrobial compound, antiviral compounds, if I can check against their efficacy against the coronavirus. So that kind, he was a person who was always interested in science, although not well, bedridden, cannot work properly, going through all these complicated medical tests every day. But whenever I went to him, he used to say that this is part of life. I will get well soon. I will go to Amritapuri and then I will send you the compounds. You check, go through their antiviral activities and so on. And then suddenly, 1st of July afternoon, when I went to his room, the nurse said, and then later Dr. Sanjay Pal called and said he is no more. That was a sudden shock for me. And then we were also still we are working with 2 projects, and one of the manuscript is also submitted. I don't know how we will complete that without his help, but anyway, he's not there with us anymore. And I must say that he was a person who was always into the science, although he was not well, admitted in the hospital for almost more than a week. He was always discussing only science with me, and I will have a tough time without him to complete the work which we started with him. And I can only say that may God help to rest his soul in peace. And with that, I want to end and thank all of you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Raja. And thank you for having been there.
Welcome.
Next, I'd like to request Dr. Priya Srinivas from the Rajiv Gandhi Center for Biotechnology. Dr. Priya also had a lot of interactions with Dr. Banerji. Dr. Priya.
Thank you, Bipin sir. My heartfelt condolences to everyone for the sad demise of our beloved Banerji sir. My husband and I met sir way back in 2001. Ever since, we used to frequent his lovely home when he was residing in Thiruvananthapuram. We spent several wonderful evenings together. The major subject of discussion would be obviously phytochemistry and medicinal activity of plant-derived compounds. I remember sir would be fondly looking forward to our visits and give my children exclusive collections of sweets and biscuits that he would be keeping for them. And he would prepare his delicious hot Bengali tea for us. Among the various plant-derived compounds sir had given us, I could identify one of the compounds that has anti-cancer activity, specifically against certain type of breast cancers. We did extensive anti-cancer activity on this particular compound and generated more than 10 publications in international journals. This helped me to put forward my initial step into my research career at Rajiv Gandhi Center for Biotechnology. Sir's recommendation letters gave me various professional opportunities which boosted my research career. When sir shifted to Amritapuri, he continued to mentor my husband and me. I remember when we go for a walk, it will be very difficult to walk with him because he will be walking at a very slow pace. This is not because of the traffic or because of his age. He would be very much interested in the plants and the herbs that he sees around. And he would be analyzing the phytochemicals or the potential medicinal agents that could be isolated from those plants. He was always fascinated by the plant diversity that Kerala has. When Abdul Kalam sir left us, I couldn't control my tears. I felt as if one of our dearest relatives left us. I'm sure many of you might have felt that way when Kalam sir left us. This is just because of the impression they have made in our hearts. One can imagine how sad it would be such a person who had personally devoted his life to others with utmost love and care passes away. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. P.R. Srinivas. I'd now like to request Dr. Chinchu Bose, who is also Dr. Banerji's PhD student, to share his thoughts and feelings with us. Chinchu.
I'm sure. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak few words about Banerji sir. I'm not sure if words can completely share the essence of the relationship that we shared. Yes, I'm proud, privileged, and lucky to be his student. As Ramashnan sir was mentioning, Chindalwar sir was his first student, and now Chinchu Bose is his last student. So I had a lot of good opportunities, like all these previous students, their endeavors on different compounds and related activities. Sir used to share with me and Pandurangan. So that brought in a lot of knowledge and wisdom to us. That was great. But to start with, for past 13 years, my professional life always starts with a good morning to him and ends with a thank you, sir, in the evening. So that also implicates that he was there in the lab before me. Like I used to come at 8:15 in the morning, so he'll be there before that. And he'll be leaving after 5. And this process continued until the last time he come to the lab at the age of 83. So always showing models by his activities. But I will tell that our journey, like me being his last student, was a mismatched match at times. Sometimes I feel like Bibin sir was kind enough to call me for an interview with Banerji sir in 2007. So he asked me about certain things, and he was not interested in taking a PhD student. And somehow at that time, I was also not interested in doing a PhD. But he never forced me with any work to be done. He made me aware about the importance of the work that is happening in the lab. He made me aware like we should be doing things correctly, not just doing things. He injected in me the importance of management of time and prioritizing things. Automatically, he brought me to the timetable that he wanted to. I can explain our days in the lab mostly with a WWH. H for hose. The first W would be when I'm going into the cabin, he'll ask me what. So I'll tell that, sir, this is the work that I'm interested in. Then he'll ask why. And I'll try to convince with my point, like this is why it is important. Then he'll ask, how will you do it? So if he's convinced, then he will allow me to work. But that was the best part of his wisdom that we were utilizing, me and my colleague Pandurangan, another PhD student, because he could easily tell that whether to work with that or not. By that, we were easily saving time and a lot of things. And he taught me other things like how to worship things. So he taught me that before worshipping, you should understand the importance of it. After understanding the importance, you should respect it. And respect is the higher form of worship. It can be like, he taught me to worship just a tapering end spatula that would be helpful in weighing 1 milligram, how to respect and keep it. It can be like clean glasswares, which will help in purification and analysis. It can be the maintenance of the instruments. So worship in that form. He was a very good traveler, explorer. He once shared when he was in Pakistan for Ataul Rahman sir's one seminar that was conducted. So he was taken from the airport. Despite of a lot of logistical problems and political problems, he wanted to visit the institute because of the importance of phytochemistry over there. So when he was taken from the airport to the institute by a PhD student of Sir, on the way, he was doing his PhD for past 4 years. So he was trying to solve a structure of a compound. He was so happy with the visit that they solved the structure in between the time that was obtained from the airport to the institute. For past 4 years, he was trying to do that. So he was very happy in that. So what I feel is that he was a reference standard as a person to many things, a gold standard, humility, simplicity. Like at times when I go with a very good shirt into the lab, he will tell, "Tu hero lag raha hai." Then he'll ask, "What is the price?" I'll tell some 800 or 1000 rupees. Then he'll catch his shirt and tell 80 rupees. So he was a reminder of many things. As I told, humility, simpleness, humbleness, integrity, a very truthful person that I've ever met. And value addition was one of the things that he was very active in, and our lab was looking into. So value addition is adding value to underutilized or neglected plants by finding out phytochemicals which can bring in some application to the plants. So when I look back, I feel that he was adding value to anything and everything that came into his way. Just nature and plant were his platforms. Thank you, sir. Thank you for everything that you have done.
Thank you, Chinchu. Next, like to request a very dear friend of Dr. Banerji, Professor Achyutan, to say a few words.
उन्होंने बहुत अच्छा किया यार.
Hello?
Yeah, Krishna, please go ahead.
Yeah. Yes, you can speak.
My earnest hearty prayer to Amma for the great soul of my best friend, Professor Dr. Asoke Banerji, to rest in peace. He was not only a friend, philosopher, and guide, though my field of work is mathematics, theoretical physics, but we used to share many views on different matters, certainly including the subject of spirituality and science. We had many things to talk about. He used to visit me, and even after his return from Delhi after meeting brother, he came to my room and we had very deep discussions on many matters of value and interest. He was not just a scientist, he was many things rolled into one great human being, great man of many important useful principles in life, and a guide and a philosopher. I'm very sure God will give him a very important place near to the divinity, and we need such people. Unfortunately, he's taken away, but that is the human life. I pray his soul to rest in peace.
Thank you, sir, Dr. Achitan, for those words. Now I'd like to request Sri Mahajan, also a close friend, to say a few words.
You're muted, sir. Please unmute yourself. So you're muted.
Okay. Meanwhile,
Hello.
yes, Mahajan sir, please go ahead. Mahajan ji, please go ahead. Yes, still, yes, please go ahead. Yes, please go ahead.
मैंने ऑन करा है उनसे बात कर देखिए म्यूट म्यूट लो
Yeah, go ahead, please. We can hear you. Go ahead.
It's on.
Okay. Probably some technical trouble. Let me request Dr. Virendra Singh. Please share a few words. Dr. Virendra Singh.
Sir, he already put his message in the chat, which Geeta ma'am read out. He's not having some technical problem.
Okay, okay. Then can we have Dr. Sanjay Pal speak?
Yes, sir. Namaste, everybody. Thank you all for being present in this prayer meeting for Banerji sir. I had the fortune to spend last 11 years with his close proximity from morning breakfast to evening dinner. COVID-19 lockdown made some exceptions recently, particularly but last few weeks again, because of his illness, we came close. And I and Nandita, my wife, were just one floor below his room. We have a very simple ashramik life, single room accommodation with small kitchen and bathroom. I feel one of his biggest achievements is how dramatically he could adopt this simple ashram life, that too in Kerala, a small fishing village like this. So different from his lifelong city life, be it Mumbai, Delhi, London, or New York. that too after his retirement. That was only possible, I feel, primarily because of Amma and his love for nature. Kerala's biodiversity, as many has pointed out, has attracted him. He was a wide traveler, an explorer to the core. He never complained about ashram life, even though we know he had his own struggle with his back pain and food. If asked, he would reply, "Chalta hai." Only one day recently, early morning, he sent me a message, which he rarely does. "Sanjay, please call back. I'm unable to get up." He did not have any food the night before, but then he recovered one day. One day, Dr. Vishnu came late night, boosted him morally for more physical activity. He really felt good. Dr. Bina also took great care, so did Seta, Ramesh, Umadi, all throughout. As such, he was physically quite active, as his favorite hobby was walk around the beaches, go to the department, or walk along the backwaters. Once elevator was being repaired, he did not have trouble climbing up the stairs all the way to 10th floor. We are surprised. I've hardly seen him taking boats instead of climbing 3-4 high staircase every day morning to the department. Till the other day, he was writing, compiling his works in a short article, circulating among us to give feedback. Apart from his backache, he hardly complained about his personal issues. His biggest complaints were largely the mediocre science around us, around the world. He was always looking for the details in all natural products related works, especially Ayurveda. His organic chemist in heart, always looking for new reactions and always wondered to the complexity and beauty of nature's reactions. He was always eager to learn about all the new tools in biology and how to apply that in his work, be it simple agarose electrophoresis or next generation sequencing. I was telling other day to Chinchu, you have really expressed very, very nicely. I must tell you that. It was a wonderful expression of his. I was telling other day to Chinchu that we are lucky to have his great legacy and we must try hard to keep his legacy. That will be best tribute in his memory. Let's pray Amma gives us the strength to do that. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay. I'd just like to request Dr. Srijit to share a few words. Dr. Srijit.
Hello.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, thank you.
Good morning, all of you. First of all, at this outset, let me thank Vipin sir for inviting me for this August gathering to pay tribute to the legendary scientist Dr. A. Banerji on his sad demise a few days back. I have been fortunate enough to have a 10-year acquaintance with Amrita and Banerji sir, which has shaped my career and life a lot. It all happened in a fine morning in 2009, December, when I came to Banerji sir for having a short introduction to the field of phytochemistry related to my work in ethnobotany. I had a small book in my hand, which was a project report that I had done regarding the ethnobotany of Wayanad district. I was not, I was feeling very uncomfortable with such a great scientist, and I thought he will not be accepting me because I didn't had any background in chemistry at that time. So the lab and all these things suddenly made me perplexed. He made me sit comfortably. He went through the book which I given him, the project report. After half an hour, he asked me some questions regarding plants, and to my wonder, he said that you can stay here for 2 months. That was the beginning of this long journey. And in the initial stages, it was very difficult for a biologist to get trained under such a great chemist. So, and at times, because of my foolishness, he was sometimes spoke rudely also. But something in my mind said that you should cling to this person because he's having something of very rare quality inside. Then suddenly, when he go outside and come back, he brought some plants and asked me whether I knew it. I had to explain the name of the plant and the characters why it was given that name. And it was my wonder that he knew almost every plant there. And he was always enthusiastic on learning plants. I have never thought or never seen such a chemist who is so interested and so active in taxonomy. And he showed me some collection of the books because it was rare floras of North Indian regions, which I have never seen. Suddenly we talked and became very close. The inner essence of his love started coming to me, and I felt comfortable, and I was allowed to stay there for last 10 years almost. I am closely acquainted, but from 10 to 13 I stayed almost there. That's because of the mercy of the Bibin sir too. We had many collections at that time. We were lacking a botanist there, I think so, and sir was keenly interested in the flora of Kerala. So we had so many collections with him, and his highest priority and highest ambition was to do some work on ecdysteron and its related activity in sericulture. Suddenly, my other pursuits went out, and we started to concentrate on ecdysteron. And later on, we identified new sources for ecdysteron. We discovered that some of the old sources which were available in Kerala for rediscovery of ecdysteron, so many was related to ecdysteron. Then suddenly one day he called me, how can we go about and test on sericulture? So I have some relations in sericulture farmers, and I think Shashi is one of the great farmers and a generous being who readily accepted our request and gave us all opportunity in his sericulture farm to do the experiment. And sir was so excited, and he also visited few times to Shashi sir house with me, and we done a good work on sericulture, and it has the potential to help the sericulture farmers. It was a great time to work with him. I know most of us are in darkness because the light has gone. But for me, in a little philosophical way, the God has given him the best that ever can happen to anyone. Because in this pandemic condition, if it would have been a misery in the last stages, all of us would have been in trouble, and we could not go and console him or like that. So the Almighty God has taken him from us, but he has given the right and the justified mode of demise for him. Sir was a great companion to me. He always talked about science. He visited my house. He visited our native place. He visited Kerai Beach. I went for so many trips with him. He was always asking about plants and so on. I have never seen some people who are so high in their pursuit being so simple. He always called me Chetan because all the lab mates who are very junior to me called us Chetan there. He was also calling me Chetan. The last remembrance was that now I am working as a controller of examination in MG University. And one fine morning, I was feeling some trouble. So like that, somebody, Banerji sir, was in need of you. And suddenly some intuition came to me and called him. He was in the car going to Amrita. Suddenly he didn't recognize me. So I thought I will call him back. He was so disturbed at that time. So I said, I will call you back, sir. And on reaching the hospital, he recognized that it was me, and he asked Chinju to call, asked him to make a call for him. So Chinju called me, and I called him the next morning, and he was so sorry for me because he didn't understand at that time. So I told him, "Don't worry, I understood your feeling," and he was very happy. I told him that you must come to MG University, stay with me. I am staying alone there in a quarter, so you can interact with all the people there. So he was very comfortable, and so he was very. At the outset, he said that he will surely come there. He will discharge from the hospital and straightly come over to MG University and stay with me there for 2-3 weeks. I was very happy, and he was also very happy. But suddenly things all changed. We don't know. We all do our calculations, and the Almighty has His own calculations. Now He is no more. But since we have to go forward, the words He has given us, the path He has shown us should be carried forward. Only then He has broken the limits of His body, and He has been absorbed to the absolute. But that absolute is present in small, tiny fragments in all of us. And now the physical presence is changed to the spiritual presence inside you. And whatever we have seen heard from Him should be inside us. And that should guide us all the way to the heights that He needed us to reach. And at this outset, I wish all the family, friends, and all the well-wishers of Banerji sir that his demise may, and all the condolences from the deepest portion of my heart at this outset. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, Bibin sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Srijit. I now request Sri Mahajanji to speak, please.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to say a few words about my dear friend, Dr. Banerji. We were lucky to join the ashram in 2006, given the opportunity, and we had become very good friends. There is hardly, whenever I get opportunity, I will walk in with him, talk to him, and seek his guidance whenever required. Even on Tuesday, Prasad days, we used to sit together, find a place together, and really it's a great loss to me. I've been talking to him very often. Whenever in the evening I talk to him, telephone him, Banerji sir, are you in the room? Oh yes, Mahan, come. And we will sit for hours. While working on this Amrita sir project, I used to seek his guidance on the water filtration plant. And he is very, very nice, thorough gentleman. And during this week, when he was admitted to this AIMS, I was not aware. I am away from the ashram these days. I am in Noida, Delhi. I tried to contact him when I was not getting any response. I was getting very, very worried. What has happened? He's a person who will definitely give a call back, and why I am not getting any response? Then I telephoned one of our sister Uma in ashram and tried to find out why Banerji sir is not all of a sudden stop talking, or why I am not getting. She said, oh, he is admitted to AIMS. Then when I was not getting any response, my wife, Mrs. Mahajan, contacted Dr. Balasha. She says, well, Dr. Banerji, please see what is he's admitted. And he is not responding. What is the problem? She immediately swung into action. So nice of her. And visited her unit wherever he was admitted and spoke to him. And not only that, he made him talk to us. And it was really great pleasure that on 29th or 20th, even on 30th, when his nieces were called by Dr. Mala, they had reached Even then I spoke to him, and it was very confident talk, and we were hoping that he would come out of, he's a great soldier, a great scientist, and anyway, it's lost to us. Personally to me, he's the one person with whom I've been so friendly, walk in any time. He could also walk into our room. I will miss him. Anyway, Amma, his birthday, Amma. Let us all pray. We are all praying. And that his soul rest in peace. And whatever path, guidelines, or principles he has taught us, we will follow and move forward in his footsteps. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. May his soul rest in peace.
Thank you, Mahajan sir. I just have a couple of messages. One is from Dr. Suja KP, who was Dr. Banerji's postdoctoral student. And she has said, I was Dr. Banerji's postdoc student for 3 years between 2002 to 2005 at RRL Trivandrum. He was a real master in natural products chemistry. He was an expert in all sorts of organic chemistry. I'm very proud to be his student, and he guided me to reach the heights in my life. He was a great human being. May his soul rest in peace. Dr. Suja is a scientist at HLL Life Care Limited in Trivandrum. Now I'd like to request Dr. Ajit Madhavan to share his thoughts. Ajit.
When I remember Banerji sir, I go back 12, 13 years before I joined in 2010. I fondly and with mixed emotion remember the first meeting I had. Probably after 1 week after joining, somebody told me that Banerji sir wanted to meet me. I did not know about his credentials and so on. But somehow I had missed that for a few hours. And suddenly Banerji sir came inside my room. And he said, do you have 2 minutes? Then I quickly rose up. I was immediately attracted to his persona. Then we both went to this. Exactly, that was the moment when I when my ego was shattered, I would say. After 12, 13 years of teaching experience, I was talking about my research team for PhD, lab engineers, and so on. So he asks few simple questions, which I was not able to answer. And he also mentioned the answers that I gave was actually incorrect also. So that's exactly when I lost my hubris. And probably somewhere there or afterwards, I found a true research mentor in Banerji sir. So I wanted to be in his group, though I was not his student. Like Chinchu, my morning activity also starts by visiting his lab. We had a nice chat there. And I used to, with awe, look at his way of working. How does he extract this compound? The way in which he discusses with Chinchu, Pandu, Srijit, and so on, Srijit sir, and so on. So I was fortunate to have two important mentors in my life. Previously, an academic mentor in Dr. Mani. Then I was very, very fortunate to have Dr. Banerji sir as my mentor. So I have learned a few things which I like to list. One is objectivity in science. I always had that liking for the endpoint. I always had a kind of expectation of the endpoint. He was the one who said, objectivity is what is important. Negative results or positive results doesn't matter. Even an experiment should say that it doesn't work. Objectivity and truth. He didn't say things in too many words, but these are the messages that I imbibed from him. Truth, of course, how truthful one has to be in research and in life as well, and how well one needs to express. He always was encouraging me. I used to give vote of thanks during seminars. Immediately after that, he used to pat me and say, well said. These are the points that I liked it and so on. So that gave me some kind of a confidence. So I kind of grew in his tutelage unknowingly. And he also mentioned that idea is the supreme thing. So discussing ideas with him was a kind of a fruitful effort, which I fondly remember. And the most that I liked was his independence. He was an embodiment of independence. I always wished I will be like him. He didn't say it, as I mentioned, in too many words that he was independent, but his very being was infusing with independence. Extremely humble, extremely beautiful human being. I fondly will remember the debates that we had. I will dearly miss Banerji sir for accommodating whatever debate themes that we had. It could be Ayurveda, it could be atheism, it could be spirituality, it could be the ills in the society, it could be science, it could be beliefs and so on. I can discuss anything under the sun with him. He would accommodate, a great listener. Probably I was not so. I was always talking too much sometimes. That is particular characteristics that I want to imbibe and slowly started imbibing. A great listener, lover of travel, as Srijit sir mentioned. But though I say he's a human being, he likes to talk and travel and so on. But I personally know that he hates to be classified. He doesn't like to be called as an organic chemist. He doesn't like to be called as a phytochemist. And I also remember very playfully renaming the department as phytochemistry and phytomedicine and so on. So that is one characteristic that I love. Moreover, I always had that feeling after spending a decade and more, I always had that feeling that I knew him more, I knew him better. But it's by listening to others speaking about him, what I understood was I knew very, very little. So I like to invoke what probably Dr. Feynman has said. I like to paraphrase what he said about quantum mechanics. I think if I knew or I understood Banerji sir, I did not understand Banerji sir. I wish I would have spent more time with it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ajit. Now I'd like to request Dr. Ramesh from TBGRI Trivandrum to say a few words. Dr. Ramesh.
Yes. Good afternoon, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So, yes. So, respected Bibin sir and other dignitaries, dear friends. So, first of all, at outset, let me pay homage to the departed soul. So, it's with a heavy heart, and I'm here, not just by the loss of a legendary figure in the field of phytochemistry, but also I lost a mentor and advisor. As I am working in the field of phytochemistry, I had the opportunity to have close association with Dr. Asoke Banerji, sir. Before meeting him at RRL during the mid 2000, I think, I have heard a lot of him through the publications and from those who have received help from him over these years. So the phytochemistry is an interesting and potential field. Only a few are there who are devoted to this subject as Professor Dr. Being a student of Professor Sheshadri, as mentioned previously, he represents a generation who toiled to establish phytochemistry in India. And indeed, we, the young generation, are happy to be associated with him, though for a short while. So he was closely associated with the phytochemistry programs we were organizing, especially at the JNTBGRA and associated with Kerala Academy of Science programs. Few years back, I met him at Amrita University, and I think that was the last personal meeting with him. And I fondly remember the moments with him and forever cherish the charisma he left with us. And as mentioned by Bipin sir, we are committed to carry forward the legacy. So thank you all.
Thank you, Ramesh. Just have another quick message that I'd like to read out. It's from Disha, and she says, "My grateful thanks and deep regards to each one of you who enriched Dr. Banerjee's love for science by partnering his research and taking forward his vision. Amongst all of you, he remained forever young as a teacher and a great scientist. He will remain alive in all of us. And I'm sure in our different walks of life, we will remember him and try to walk the path on which he left his footprints." We have several members of our dear Dr. Banerjee's family on this call, in this meeting from Delhi. And I'd now like to request Dr. Banerjee's elder brother, Professor D. Banerjee, to speak to us and share his thoughts. Sir.
Am I audible?
Yes. Sir.
Huh? I am Asoke Banerjee was my 8-year-old younger brother. So I have seen his entire life, and but obviously I will not go into those. But what I want to underline is his teacher, Dr. K.R. Seshadri, who was so hardworking and made others to work. So Ashok got his BSc, MSc, and PhD under Dr. Seshadri. So it was a great privilege for him to be taught by a teacher like him. Then he went to the BARC, where he got Dr. Chadha, and both of them worked together, and they realized that they must bring about a change. They were working in what's called bioorganic division of BARC. So they brought together a major shift in the working, and which was included in what's called biotechnology, molecular biology, and so on. And they made very significant contributions. I will not go into his Ashok work in London School
Imperial College.
Imperial College, London, where he got tremendous admiration from the Nobel laureate Dr. Bhatt. And it is always a privilege for him to also to remember his contribution. Then he came back to the ashram and made whatever contribution he could to develop its department of bioethics. I think I will stop here. Thank you.
I would just like to add that thank you so much for saying all the nice things about my uncle, Banerjee. It made us realize that we are family, but we are a much larger family who have got so much regard for him. It was lovely to hear all the reminiscence and the memories that he shared. And I would like to say that he was a wonderful uncle to all our nieces. He was a wonderful brother to his sisters and brothers, and he was a wonderful son. He was a wonderful person in all. One of the things we have been focusing on his work. I would also like to say that I learned a lot from him about life, and these things are not possible to list out. Not everything can be put in words. But I share his passion for photography, for music, and for traveling. These are some of the things that he introduced me to, and it was a wonderful journey. And he taught me so much about all these things. So it can't be. It can't be just recounted in a few minutes. So it was whatever he did with passion. And as Chintu said, did it well, did it correctly, do it correctly. So there are lots of things to learn from him, and we had so I just hope we will be able to take his ideas and believe forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ishita. Thank you, Professor Banerji. With this, we come to the end of this event. A fitting tribute to a colossus. A colossus who left a lasting impression on anyone and everyone he ever interacted with. As we have been seeing throughout the program, Dr. Banerji will be always loved, never forgotten, and forever missed. Sorry. He leaves behind a void that can never be filled. He leaves behind a legacy we will forever strive to uphold. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today in Dr. Asoke Banerji's remembrance. Let us close with prayers.
Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritangamaya Om Shanti 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 Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Om Shanti 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 Om Sri Gurubhyo Namah Harihi Om.
Namah Shivaya. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nair. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nair, very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you very much, sir. Namaskar.
Thank you.
Take care. Time will only here. Take care. Yes.